What if I told you that one of the greatest drivers in NASCAR history is already planning his exit? Not because he's struggling, but because he's terrified of something most athletes never even think about. And what if I told you that same week, NASCAR quietly handed down punishments that could change the careers of people you've never even heard of, but whose jobs are just as important as any driver on that? Two stories, both from Nashville, both hitting completely different nerves. And by the time this video is over, I think you're going to see NASCAR in a way you haven't before. Stay with me, because this one goes deep. But before we get into it, I want to take just a second. This channel, NASCAR Report Today, is still brand new. We're a small community of people who genuinely love this sport. Not just the wins and the crashes, but the real stories. The human side of NASCAR that most people overlook. If you're watching this right now, you're exactly the kind of fan we built this channel for. So if you haven't subscribed yet, please do it right now. Hit that bell too, because every single subscriber actually matters to us at this stage. We're trying to build something real here, something honest, something worth coming back to every single day. We're pushing toward 15,000 subscribers, and we want you to be part of this from the very beginning. All right, let's get into it, because trust me, this first story is one I haven't been able to stop thinking of. Picture this. You walk into a NASCAR garage on a race morning. You look around, and you see Denny Hamlin, calm, focused, ready. The kind of presence that fills a room. This is a man who just won his second Cup Series race of the season. A man who, if you count the All-Star race, has been to victory lane 3 times this. A man who, through the first 14 races of the 2025 season, leads the entire Cup Series in laps led by a significant margin. In other words, this man is not just competitive. He is elite. Right now, today. So why is he talking about retirement? That's the question that stopped me in my tracks this week. Denny Hamlin sat down on SiriusXM NASCAR radio this week and said something that nobody expected. He confirmed it again. The plan hasn't changed. After the 2027 season, he's done. Now, here's what makes this so fascinating. He just signed a contract extension with Joe Gibbs Racing. He had every opportunity in that process to say, you know what, let's keep it open-ended. Let's see how I feel. He didn't. He made it very clear. 2027 is the end of his full-time Cup Series career, and people inside Joe Gibbs Racing have reportedly been trying to talk him out of it. Think about that for a second. The team is trying to convince the driver to keep racing. That's not something you hear very often. Usually it's the other way around. Usually teams are quietly preparing for transitions while drivers desperately hold on. But Hamlin, he's the one drawing the line, and the reasons he gave are genuinely stunning. Here's what Denny Hamlin actually said, and I want you to really listen to this. He said his goal is to leave the sport while he's still capable of winning. Not after the decline begins. Not after the garage starts whispering. Not after fans start asking if his best days are behind him. Before any of that happens, he wants to wake up on a race morning for the very last time as a full-time Cup driver and still feel the same hunger he feels today. That genuine belief that he can win that day. And then he said something that hit me differently than almost anything I've heard from a NASCAR driver. He said, his ego is paranoid. His exact words. His ego is extremely paranoid about the inevitable downward trend that every athlete eventually faces. Let that sink in. One of the most successful drivers in the history of this sport. A man with decades of elite experience. And he is genuinely scared. Not of losing, not of crashing. He is scared of the slow, quiet fade that nobody sees coming until it's already too late. How many athletes in any sport have ever been that self-aware? He went further. He talked about LeBron James, who at 41 years old is still somehow putting up incredible numbers, and Hamlin's take on why that comparison doesn't apply to NASCAR. It's actually fascinating. LeBron plays on a team. If one part of his game slips, his teammates absorb some of it. The team adjusts. The system covers for it. But in NASCAR, the driver is carrying an enormous piece of the entire operation. The team matters, the crew chief, the engineers, the pit crew, all of it. But at the end of the day, if the driver loses even a small amount of his edge, it shows. Immediately, in lap times, in the playoffs, in championship runs. Hamlin said he would genuinely struggle to believe he could win a 10-race playoff if he knew, even quietly, even privately, that something had slipped. And that's not something a lot of drivers can admit. Most of them convince themselves they're fine. Most of them don't walk away on their own terms. They get pushed out, or they stay 1, 2, maybe 3 seasons too long, and fans remember those final difficult years more than the great one. Hamlin is trying to avoid that. He's trying to control the one thing in racing that almost nobody ever controls, the ending. But here's where it gets even more interesting. He's still winning. He's still one of the best drivers out there right now. So what happens between now and 2027? Does he chase that elusive championship, the one thing that's still missing from a Hall of Fame career? Does one championship run change everything and convince him to stay? Or does he finish 2027, walk away clean, and let the sport miss him? And honestly, what does this mean for Joe Gibbs Racing? Because when Denny Hamlin eventually does retire, one of the most iconic partnerships in modern NASCAR history comes to an end. Who fills that seat? Who carries that legacy? We're going to be watching all of this very closely, because right now, every Denny Hamlin race has a different weight to it. Every victory from here on feels like a countdown. But now, let's talk about the second story from Nashville, because this one is completely different. No retirement, no glory, just NASCAR dropping the hammer. And when you hear what happened, you're going to understand exactly why the garage was on edge this. Here's something most casual NASCAR fans don't realize. Behind every driver, behind every race team, behind every pit stop you see on TV, there are people whose entire careers exist and people you never see on camera. People who don't have sponsor deals or social media followings. But without them, tires fly off trucks at 150 miles per hour. And this week, NASCAR made absolutely sure everyone in the garage remembered that. After the race weekend at Nashville Superspeedway, NASCAR released its official penalty report for the Craftsman Truck Series. And it was not gentle. During the race, one of the wheels from Ben Rhodes' number 99 truck, ThorSport Racing, became detached. Now, a loose one might sound like a mechanical issue, just something that went wrong. But NASCAR doesn't see it that way. Under their current rules, a detached wheel is a major safety violation. Full stop. It doesn't matter how it happened. It doesn't matter if anyone got hurt. The wheel coming off means someone didn't do their job correctly. And in NASCAR, that comes with consequences. So what happened next? NASCAR penalized ThorSport Racing under two specific sections of the rulebook, 8.8.10.4a and 10.5.2.5d. And the punishment they handed down was immediate and serious. Jackman Evan Clay, suspended for 2 races. Rear tire changer Pedro Martinez, suspended for 2 races. Both of them missed this weekend at Michigan International Speedway. Both of them missed the upcoming Truck Series race at the San Diego Naval Base. 2 races. Gone. Just like that. Now, think about what that actually means for ThorSport Racing. This is a team that's already grinding through a competitive season. Every race matters. Every pit stop matters. And now, they're heading into back-to-back events without 2 of their experienced crew members. Pit crews in NASCAR are not interchangeable pieces. These are specialists. Athletes, really. People who train for their specific roles. Losing 2 of them for multiple races doesn't just hurt a little. It creates a real, measurable disadvantage. And for Evan Clay and Pedro Martinez, personally, they now have to sit at home and watch those races happen without them. That's not just a professional penalty. That's a gut punch. But that wasn't the only punishment in the report, because NASCAR also dropped a second penalty that, honestly, raised even more eyebrows inside the garage. Kent Thunderberg has been issued an indefinite suspension by NASCAR. Now, NASCAR cited sections 4.1 and 10.1a of the rulebook in this case. They didn't release a lot of public details about the specific reason, and that's actually what makes this penalty so significant. When NASCAR issues a finite suspension, 2 races for races, the garage understands. They see the violation, they see the punishment, they move on. But when NASCAR says indefinite, that's a different message entirely. That means there's no end date. That means someone has to go through a process to get reinstated. That means NASCAR is making a statement that goes beyond just one weekend. Based on Thunderberg's social media activity, he appears to have been working as a jackman for Freedom Racing Enterprises on the number 76 truck in recent Truck Series event. So this is someone who is actively working in the sport, is now indefinitely on the outside looking at. The garage noticed. They always do when indefinite suspensions come down. And here's what both of these penalty situations tell us about where NASCAR is right now. The sanctioning body is not backing down on safety enforcement. They have made it very clear over the past several years that loose wheels are a line you do not cross. The consequences will be immediate and they will be public. But the indefinite suspension for Thunderbird signals something slightly. It signals that NASCAR is also watching the garage in ways that go beyond just competition infractions. And when they act decisively. For teams across all 3 national series, this week's penalty report was a reminder. Everyone is watching. Everyone is being held accountable. And the rulebook applies equally whether you're a crew chief, a jackman, or a tire changer. Now, let's zoom out for a second, because I think when you put both of these stories together, something really interesting comes into focus. NASCAR has been through a lot of transitions over the last decade. The next-gen car changed the competitive landscape dramatically. Teams have had to rebuild their strategies from scratch. The schedule has evolved. New tracks, new markets, new audiences. And in the middle of all of that, you have veterans like Denny Hamlin who have survived multiple eras of this sport, who have adapted, adjusted, and kept winning through all of it. Hamlin won his first Cup race back in 2006. He's been racing at the highest level for nearly 2 decades. And in that entire time, the one thing that's been consistent is that he finds a way to stay relevant, stay competitive, stay dangerous. But even Denny Hamlin, one of the most durable and successful drivers in modern NASCAR history, knows that nothing lasts forever. That's the part of this week's conversation that stuck with me most. Because it wasn't just about retirement. It was about legacy. It was about how you want to be remembered. And it takes a rare kind of self-awareness to look at yourself when you're still winning, still leading laps, still making championship runs, and say, I'm going to decide when this ends before the sport decides for me. That mindset, that's not weakness. That's actually one of the bravest things an elite athlete can do. And on the other side of the coin, the penalty report reminds us that NASCAR as a sport is also trying to protect its own legacy. The legacy of safety, the legacy of accountability, the legacy of a rulebook that means something. These 2 stories might seem disconnected, but they're actually telling the same story. This is a sport figuring out who it is and who it wants to be, and it's doing that in real time every single week. So here's where we land today. Denny Hamlin is still one of the best drivers in NASCAR. He's winning races. He's leading laps. And he's already decided, quietly, clearly, without drama, that 2027 is his finish line. Not because he has to, because he wants to leave before the fade begins. Because he wants to control his own story. And in Nashville, NASCAR reminded every single person in that garage, from the superstar drivers to the crew members nobody has ever heard of, that the rulebook is real, the consequences are real, and accountability doesn't care about your feet. 2 very different stories, both incredibly important, both telling us exactly where this sport is headed. Now, I want to hear from you. Do you think Denny Hamlin is making the right call by setting a retirement timeline now while he's still winning? Or do you think he should race as long as his body and his speed allow him to? And what do you make of NASCAR's enforcement approach? Are they striking the right balance between safety and fairness? Drop everything in the comments. I read every single one, and I genuinely want to know where NASCAR fans stand on all of this. Before you go, if you got value from this video, if you learned something, if it made you think differently about something, please hit the like button. It genuinely helps this channel more than you. And if you haven't subscribed yet, this is the moment. NASCAR Report Today is still a young channel. We're building something real here. Honest coverage, deep stories, real conversations about the sport we all love. No fluff, no filler, just NASCAR. We're on our way to 15,000 subscribers. And if you're watching this right now, you have a chance to be one of the people who was here from the beginning. Subscribe, hit the bell, and I'll see you in the next one. Because trust me, next time, the story gets even bigger.